Welcome to Grim Dark Gains, a bi-weekly podcast where we help you ascend from a Chaos Marauder to a Demon Prince. Today, we are going to answer what is the best exercise for each muscle. But before we do that, we'll dive into our life, hobby, and fitness for about the first half of the show. So, welcome, Eli. How are you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to you too, Alex. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm great. I have my
With your
white monster
white
all
monster,
lined
very
up, as you
nice.
can see.
Very
Right,
nice.
right. Oh yes, a classic. I've seen a video recently. Somebody saying that it's overrated. I'm like, it might not be the best flavor, but it's still a classic.
Yeah, it is. It's iconic. You can't deny
It's
that.
iconic. That's right. Any fitness influencer in the world understands the power of a white monster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. Well, so what's happening in your life? You had quite a experience traveling recently, right?
Yeah, we and the fellas went to Ireland. We got the pictures and everything. Let's see here.
Very cool.
Uh,
I am
well,
jealous. I would
actually,
love to go to Ireland.
it was quite nice. It was fun. But yeah, I met up with Lore Crimes, the other podcast that I'm on. It's a Warhammer podcast. Uh,
Just for that
with
podcast.
I don't know, our audience might know some of the names. It's Pancreas No Work, Amber King, and the Remembrancer. So that was a lot of fun. We just I don't know did Ireland things. We saw the Book of Kells and went to the big cool library and went to the Guinness storehouse and had some fish and
Heck yeah.
chips. The fish and chips were very good.
Very good.
I
Very
got a
good.
good pump at a gym, and I had some really nice sushi. It's
Wow.
some of the prettiest salmon I've ever had. The picture might not do it justice, but in real life, it was very, very nice. Um, yeah, I always like eating
That was
sushi
awesome.
by the sea, so
Did the Guinness taste different than the Guinness in Canada?
I don't think I've ever had a Guinness in Canada, but it was really good. Man, is it filling though? I could not have more than one. One was
Like it's like drinking bread.
yeah, seriously. But that was good. And the pubs were fun. The
Oh
people
man.
were nice. We went to an EDM club. I dragged those guys out to an EDM club, and that was awesome. It was really fun. But I couldn't believe it at the end of the night when we were walking out. The police officers outside. I was wearing a muscle shirt, and the police
Hmm.
officers outside were like telling me to put my hoodie on and like have some modesty and stuff. And it was like, what the heck? Like there were girls wearing like nothing, like basically nothing at all. And these guys are getting on my case for wearing a muscle shirt. I couldn't believe it, but it was
Yo, Deadlift with Dark God's muscle shirt?
yeah, yeah. It was just a
That's crazy.
yeah.
It's not even that. It's not like
It
a
wasn't yeah.
stringer top.
Yeah, I know. It's
It's
fine,
like
but
a stringer top, and if they have a law with like you can't have like, your
no
upper body
nips.
exposed, whatever.
Yeah,
But your shirt, I wear that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
nothing. That's just a tank top.
Yeah, it was a little weird, but it is what it is. That
Those Irish
was.
with their laws.
Other than
No
that,
offense.
though, the Irish people were very nice. We went to a cool
Sure, I'm
museum
sure.
and talked to people. And yeah, hobby wise, though, haven't done a ton, but I did paint a bolt action model. There's
Heck
my
yeah.
general. I painted him in preparation for yet another Axis and Allies game. Because we just
Of
can't get
course.
enough of this, I guess. And once again, we have complete Axis victory. They weren't so ready to admit it last time, but they fully surrendered this time to our
Some
indomitable,
defeats.
unstoppable might. We did a few silly maneuvers, like we tried Operation Sea Lion, so invade the UK. We just did it for the memes, and we figured if it loses us the game, that's okay too. It failed, and we lost a bunch of stuff, and we even lost Berlin, so we lost our
Mm,
capital.
wow. Okay.
And losing the capital means that you lose all the money you make that turn, and it goes to the other guy. So he took all that IPC from us. But because they did that, and then they overextended their navies to destroy our transports as well. And because they did that, we were able to destroy their navy and the army that they sent to Berlin. So they actually ended up losing more, at least strategically valued wise. And then after that, Germany was just pushing so far into Russia. The UK didn't have any air force anymore because they fought in, I guess that'd pretty much be the Battle of Berlin, actually. And I don't know, it got to the point where Germany was making like a third more than the US was. And over in the Pacific, I had already defeated the Australians, and I just destroyed the Indian fleets, the UK Pacific fleet. And then I was like within one turn, I was gonna be on par with production power of the United States, so I would have been able to just constantly buy ships at the same rate that he could, but then he wouldn't be able to buy anything in the Atlantic, so I just had full supremacy of the Pacific. I didn't take any late game pictures. All the pictures I have are from early game, but it's fine. But yeah, it was we had also terrible luck for the first 3 turns of the game. Our plan was going successfully, but every battle we fought, we took like probably 60% more casualties than any normal dice odds would have had us taking. So we had, like, for the first 3 turns, which is like, I don't know, for the first 8 hours, we were just like rolling terribly the whole time. But we stuck to our plan and we took the opportunities when they made mistakes and we won the game, and it was pretty awesome.
Awesome.
I was gonna invade Sydney. If we actually played for like 3 more turns, I would have invaded Sydney. I would have had boots on the ground in the United States, but the Allies saw the writing on the wall that it was an impossible game, and they just wanted to go for dinner, and so they gave their unconditional surrender and admitted complete and utter defeat, that we had absolutely destroyed them, and that was that.
Congratulations on your win.
Thank you, sir.
That is, I laughed at the point where you said for the first 8 hours. How long was the game?
It was only, this one was only like 12 or 13 hours.
Oh, sure, right.
So yeah,
A quick
like
game.
the really important stuff happened in the like last third of the game, and that's where we like really took off and kind of just took a foothold that they couldn't do anything about, and there was just like nothing they could do. I had taken Hawaii and the Philippines, so all I had to do was take 1 or 2 more cities, and it was toast for them. And Germany was making like 100 IPC a turn, and for perspective, like 70 IPC is a lot, and that's how much the
What's
United
IPC?
States
Is that the
generally make.
unit?
It's
Oh,
the
look, like
it's
a
like the money, the currency.
money. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Man,
Russia had lost pretty much their entire army, and they were just like a few stragglers in Moscow. Sorry, Alex.
it's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
So yeah, it was unsalvageable for the Allies, and we had just gone so far, and just like in 2 turns we completely flipped the script. The Italians destroyed the United States landing force, so that was awesome. Italia forever. Uh, so yeah, and we also eventually, it took the Italians a lot of fighting, but we cleared out the Mediterranean Sea as well. So they finally had some access in there. I don't know. Overall, it was a very hard fight, but we stuck to our plan and our guns, and we pulled it out.
That's cool, man. There's some cool shots with a bunch of tanks and planes and ships and turrets. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah,
Very awesome.
fun game.
What was the highlight? What was the craziest thing that happened that game?
Um, I think one of our best battles was in the Pacific when he moved the Indian fleet to try to invade China and French Indochina and stuff, and then they somehow like didn't see this coming, but I just we moved my whole air force. I consolidated my air force and my fleet and just completely destroyed them. And the turn before that, I had a huge naval battle with the U.S. and I destroyed them. I think the highlight was actually the Italians fighting off the Americans, because that never
That is
really.
cool.
Yeah. It's because they have this weird strat, because they play the online version of which is 42, but it's like half the size, so the game's completely different. And they have this idea that they need to have D-Day happening on like turn 4, and it's kind of like that's still early game, so they like to do it like really early for some reason. And it's even weirder. How they do it is they invade through Spain, which is a neutral country. So when you invade a neutral country, as one of the powers, all the other neutral countries become pro-Axis or pro-Allies.
Yes.
So it gives like the entire Middle East. All we have to do is walk in, and we get like 12 extra troops. Which we didn't actually utilize this game. We didn't need to, but still, they go through Spain because there's less resistance there, I guess. But then they turn pro-Allies, so they land in Spain, and then we just had the Italians move in and kill them all. And it wasn't a big enough landing force for it to like matter. And I don't know, we were just they underestimated us for the last time. Truly, finally. Yeah,
It's
I don't
awesome,
know.
man.
The sea line was also pretty fun. we just tried it for the memes and it went badly. But I think, bro, I guess the real highlight is we lost our capital and we still won the game. I think that was pretty awesome. So
That's cool. I like that. Awesome, man. I mean, it's a big commitment to a game. I don't know. Honestly, I
yeah,
do
but
not. You would have to like entice me with three monsters to
yeah,
get through that game. That is
yeah.
a long
Oh,
game.
it's destiny. You have to. It has to be your destiny. You have to win.
Your
Then you
destiny.
have to
That's
be.
right.
Yeah. Well,
I was a
we only put like 5 hours of planning into this one because the 20 some hours we put into it before, we pretty much kept the strategy similar. We just changed our Pacific strategy up a little bit.
Jeez. 5 hours of planning. What, 14 hours of gameplay you said?
Yeah, but to be fair, like 5 hours of planning. Last game we probably put 20 hours of planning into it, and we just used a lot of those plans for this game and altered a few things. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well, I'm glad you won because I know you mentioned that your opponents were talking big,
they were
and
they
yet you
were.
still crushed. That's cool.
We're four. Well, I'm 4-0 now.
Or
Um,
no, wow, you might be the
but
master of X's and allies.
well, only against these guys. Maybe not on
Ah,
a world
sure.
scale, but
Well, apparently they're pretty good. They play online.
yeah, I don't know. 4-0 is in 5 years ago we played once and the Axis won,
Sure.
and then we played. Oh yeah, another random game that we didn't finish, and it was looking really good for me. And then the last two games we like actually won for sure. So more like a legit 2-0, a semi questionable other two wins. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, it counts. It counts. A win is a win.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you're looking extra juicy on that one pump picture. What's happening
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. I mean, not much. Just in Italy or Italy in Ireland, yeah, getting a pump with good lighting.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice looking gym too. I like all the whole black.
Yeah, it was nice.
I like that vibe.
It was all right. At least it was cheap. Well, cheap for Europe, but by
Sure.
the way, they paid nothing for groceries over there. I
Really?
like 18 eggs was like €3 or
Yeah, that's
so,
pretty
like
good.
$5 or
Pretty good.
less.
Yeah,
That's how
that's pretty
much
good.
12 eggs costs around here. So I think it was actually less than three, but still,
Hmm.
it was ridiculous. But in the gym, all of their hand sanitizer things were empty, and there were some gross people there, so that was less
Mm.
optimal. I saw some guy put his like hands in his pants and then use a machine. It's like, come on. Uh,
Extra grip. Maybe he has chalk in there.
yeah, yeah, sure. But let's hear about you.
Well, you'll be excited to hear this. I went
Yeah,
to a Middle Earth tournament. I'm very
yeah.
sad you didn't get to go to yours because I think it got canceled or something happened, right?
It's next month, but it's on the same day that I have a
Right,
wedding to go to.
right. I mean, to be fair though, like maybe just skip the wedding. It's
Yeah,
which is prioritize things.
yeah.
Come on, Eli.
I know, I know.
But I went to the tournament with a few of my one of some of my closest friends actually, who were all into Warhammer and Age of Sigmar and Old World and 40K
Nice.
and all those war games. And we always talked about, hey, like let's Middle Earth sounds great, the armies look fantastic. Obviously, we're all big Lord of the Ring nerds, but we never just got into it because there's only so many games you can play.
Yeah.
So one of our guys led the charge and like, hey, I'm gonna organize it. I'm gonna put together a pack. I'm gonna put together rules. I'm gonna find a day. We're gonna find a place. I'm gonna play. If I do that, will you guys play? We're like, yes, we would love to do that. So naturally, I had like almost a year in advance. I knew almost a year in advance was gonna happen. About 5 months ago, I knew the date. So
Hmm.
naturally, I waited until 2 days before the
Yeah,
tournament to start painting
I
my
was
army.
gonna guess how many days it took to paint these goblins.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they look okay
They do.
for tabletop ready. The
Yeah,
picture
they
I
look
have in there
nice.
is the Zenithal Prime, which is my favorite method to speed paint,
Ah,
right? So you just prime them dark gray, prime them light gray, prime them like almost white,
yeah.
right? So you do a full prime with dark gray, you do a like moderate prime from the top angle with a lighter gray, and just a very quick prime from a very high angle to kind of create that shadow almost like a
Hmm.
sun going down, natural shadow.
Yeah.
And then you use a contrast paints or speed paints or whatever washes you want to get that effect. And honestly, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
The pictures I have, yeah, thanks, man, thanks. The picture I have on there, I don't have the rims painted yet, but the actual models I finished do have the rims painted and some flock
Mm.
and the skull. But yeah, they turned out, good enough for only putting a couple of days into them.
And they're better than my how my things usually turn out when I only have 2 days to
Right, right.
base the
Well,
models.
the thing is, with 2 days, you have no time to like color scheme, right? You have no time to paint a test model. You just kind of
Yeah,
hope for the best.
yeah,
So I've definitely had some atrocious models before.
yeah.
Painted, the speed painted, like some of my Skaven look so bad. The ones I try to paint very quick.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever tried Down and Dirty Rust paints?
Nope.
My favorite, such a hack. If you have um, models that are meant to be dirty,
Mm-hmm.
it almost looks like a mix between actual rust, but also could look like dirt and pass very easily for that.
Hmm.
So if you have models like that, what I do is I will use that for both like dirty patches. And then if I want it to be some kind of a armor or iron, rusted iron, I'll just put silver highlight on the top.
Hmm.
But on the actual, like, let's say, like dirty belts or dirty clothes, I don't do that and it just looks like dirt.
Ah,
So I
cool.
really, really, really like that. Super quick. So shout out to them. It's a little bit expensive, but you get so much use out of it, so it's pretty great.
Very cool.
So here's the story. I finished painting them the
Mm-hmm.
day, technically the day of event
Mm-hmm.
at about 1:32 in the morning,
Oh
right? So pretty late. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, well, the event starts at 9. I can
Oh
get,
my gosh.
5, 6 hours of sleep. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
decent. Then I'm like, I'm already here.
Oh my gosh.
There's a best painted award for the event.
Oh my
I
gosh.
stayed up for another 3 hours
Bro.
and
Oh my
painted Sam.
god.
It was rough.
What the heck?
It was rough, Eli. But here's some
Jeez.
pictures of what Sam turned out to be like.
He
Um,
looks good.
believe it or not, thank you, man. Believe it or not, I'm not like a bad painter. I just don't actually often sit down and paint a single
Mm-hmm.
model.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, I haven't painted a model like actually tried, like a single model. I'll put a bunch of hours. I didn't paint the whole thing in 3 hours. He already
Okay.
had the base colors on him,
Yeah.
but they weren't highlighted,
Ah.
right? So he had base colors in a wash. So I spent another 3 hours painting everything, all the sausages and the cloth, and he turned out pretty cool. I mean, I really,
Mm-hmm.
really like Sam as a character. I really always wanted to paint the whole Lord of the Rings Fellowship,
Yeah.
but he's probably my one of my favorite models
Nice.
from that kit.
He's got the frying pan.
He's got the frying pan, man. I'll tell you a bit more in a second, but he was a champion on the
Yeah.
tabletop.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Did you
All
bring
right,
more
so
than
let me
one army?
tell you about the games.
All right.
What did you say?
Did you bring more than one army? Did you play Moria and Fellowship?
So what we did is I asked my friend Matt, who's the organizer, if we should add the any flavor because the way he organized it is 5 games,
Mm-hmm.
and then the last game is a mega battle,
Mm-hmm.
right? So 5 games where you actually score points and objectives, and the last game is just a mega battle
Mm-hmm.
where you can get more kill points, but you don't actually win. So it's more for fun,
Mm-hmm.
right? So kill points, the way it did is obviously whoever had got the most wins won the tournament.
Yeah.
But because there was only 6 of us, there's a pretty decent chance that somebody would get the same amount of wins.
Yeah.
So the secondary way to see who would win the whole event was the kill points.
Mm.
So the last mega battle, even though you couldn't win it because there's no objectives, it was purely down to kill points. So if you were running for the top place in the event, it actually mattered.
Mm. Yeah.
So for the last game, I offered him, hey, like let's add some flavor, let's add some, let's add Frodo and Sam on the tabletop because we had good versus evil going on,
Mm-hmm.
and good guys are trying to protect them, and evil guys are trying to get them.
Yeah.
They
Nice.
added some extra rules for the fun. Yeah. But they had actual rules and everything, and they were kind of in the middle of the table hiding.
Nice.
All right. So let me quickly go through all my games. Not going to spend too much time on each one.
Mm-hmm.
But the first game I played against my friend Brad, who brought 4 trolls and a Mouth Sauron.
Wow. That is quite the list. Those trolls look very cool. How many
They
points was
do.
it, by the way?
500 points.
500 points. Wow.
500. So I brought 44 models.
Jeez.
It was fun. I brought 4 Moria Goblin Chiefs. I brought 2 trolls and then 38 goblins.
Man, you can fit a lot
Definitely, yeah.
with
It's
with
fun.
one
It was because
list.
goblins are only 4 points a model.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna bring a horde and
Yeah.
hopefully, which to be fair, spoilers worked out really great until they were broken, and then you lose more than half your army every
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah.
So my goal was to win a game before I was broken,
Yeah.
right? Or I guess the way that Middle Earth ends is if you're broken, which is half models die, or usually closer if you're quartered, which
Mm-hmm.
is only a quarter of your models remain. Which I actually really like that. Didn't know that's how you actually win the games. or end the games, and I really like the mechanic of Middle Earth. It's
Yeah, it depends on the
quite
mission, to
different.
be fair.
Right, true, 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 true.
Some missions you start rolling a dice after someone gets
Right,
broken,
after
I
you're
think it
broken.
is. Yeah.
hmm Yeah, yeah, and then on one or two, you are done.
Yeah.
On three, four, five, six, you play one more turn.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some other missions that I have not played. We only played five missions total, right?
Mm.
So the first game was great. I didn't really know what I was doing. Brad, I think, had a couple more games experience than me. So I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I had one practice game, and I played a game like years before in the previous edition. So I'm just going to charge forward, see what happens.
Yeah.
Bad move. He literally, with his trolls, because his has higher fight values, basically
Yeah.
the way it works, if he rolls six on his dual roll and I don't roll a six, he just kills me, right?
Yeah.
And
Even
the
if you
cool
do
thing with
roll
trolls,
six, yeah.
even if I roll a six,
Yeah.
my army wide, by the way, even my trolls were lower value than his
Oh
trolls,
wow.
lower
He had
fight value,
fancier
right?
trolls.
He had fancier trolls, armor, no, stronger than me, so it was pretty cool. But lost my track of thought. Oh, so and trolls also can only have three attacks, right? But they can double up on the models who are supporting.
Mm-hmm.
So I charged all my models. He won every combat, killed like 10 models in
Jeez.
the first turn.
Yeah.
It was so dumb.
That's tough.
And then eventually he told me kind of how to play, and you can tie up a whole troll with one model. You don't
Yeah.
have to throw everybody in there. So I kind of started doing that, picking my fights, kind of ganging up on one. And by the end of it, it was much closer game than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
But it was still a win for the trolls.
Yeah.
So it
Fair.
was starting with a loss.
Fair.
Moving on, I played with my friend, and they were all different scenarios, all different objectives. Some of them were just kill points, kill each other. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them were control different objectives. Some of them you show up from different sides of the tabletop. So I'm not going to spend too much time because it would be a very deep dive if I
Mm-hmm.
talk about all different objectives, scenarios. But I'll tell you how the game went.
Yeah.
Second one was against elves, which elves were really cool. It was Rivendell elves,
Oh,
and
nice.
they had some really cool rules.
Is this Chuck?
Obviously,
Said the game?
this is Chuck.
All right.
This is Chuck. Yes, yes.
Just making sure it's in order.
And yes, yes. It was a great game. Honestly, strength in numbers really played a big role here. He
Yeah.
just couldn't handle it, and by the end of it, he lost.
Yeah.
One really cool thing was when his army breaks, he brings out this Rivendell token. Are you familiar with this one?
Don't think so.
It's like in the movies where the horses, where what's the girl's name that saved Frodo? Was taking him to
Arwen?
Rivendell. Arwen, yes. And then the horses show up
Yeah.
and like get rid of all the Nazgul. That's basically that. That's what's
Yeah.
happening. So once they're broken, once they're fleeing, the horses, the magical water horses show up,
Wow.
and everybody in 3-inch radius of that token that's an enemy gets knocked prone
Mm.
and suffers, I think, a strength 4 or strength 5 hit.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know they had. I haven't played against this army list yet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So depending on how you position, like your trolls get knocked prone, everything get
Hmm.
knocked prone, and all of a sudden, they can come back and kind of wipe your army a little bit.
Wow.
So it was really cool. Still didn't manage to win the game with that,
Mm.
but it was a very fun game.
Nice.
Moving on, this I thought was going to be a rough matchup. Was the Iron Hill Dwarves.
Yeah.
Defense 7, defense 8
Yeah.
meant I often needed sixes, no, to win the fight, and then sixes to wound them. Sometimes sixes followed by like
Yeah.
fives or fours.
Yeah.
Quite rough. However, what happened is my shooting did nothing the whole tournament.
Hmm.
But somehow in this game, it was wild.
Wow.
I killed two models of his like model with army with like 12 models
Hmm.
with shooting.
Dang.
Goblin bows, which meant I had to hit on a 6.
Yeah.
I had to roll a 6 followed by a 4.
Wow.
And I only had like 7 shots. So it was really cool, really fun game. But yeah, because his models were so pricey and him losing about 10% of his army to shooting, maybe
Yeah.
more than that, was a little rough.
Yep. It's all right. I deserve for playing Iron Hills. I'm an Iron Hills hater.
Really? Are they a little powerful right now?
I just don't like them because they don't look they look like a Warhammer Fantasy army. They don't look like they should be in Lord of the Rings. They're very Forge World looking, and
That's fair.
they're
That's
also
fair.
just very frustrating to play against because they are just kind of better. Because I'm not an Iron Hills hater. I'm a Hobbit book army hater. because
Sure,
the
sure.
Hobbit armies have always just been better just because they're in the Hobbit book.
Sure, sure, that's fair. But they're really cool. I mean, their defense
Oh
7
yeah,
is
yeah,
phenomenal,
yeah.
and
I know.
defense 8 on heroes, like that
Yeah, those
was
are
that was
cool. And but I guess
right,
also because I like Khazad-dûm a lot, and Iron Hills is just better dwarves than
right,
Khazad-dûm,
right,
just
right.
cause like for no real reason.
Sure, sure.
But it's all
But
right.
they were a cool army.
Yeah.
They were fun to play against, and yeah, shield wall rules were really cool with extra
Hmm.
defense. But yeah, unfortunately, weight of numbers and killing those two dwarves with shooting was
Hmm.
because his shooting did nothing to me the whole game.
Yep.
He's better shooting with crossbows.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right, and then my last official game of the tournament before the mega battle
Hmm.
was with Matt, who organized the whole event,
Nice.
and it was against the Rangers. And they
Nice.
were, I don't know which army exactly, what it's called, but
Hmm.
it's the Rangers where everybody's a hero.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just Rangers. They're Rangers.
It's just Rangers. Okay, got
Yeah.
it. It's just Rangers.
Pretty much.
Which is
Rangers are
very neat.
something, I think. Oh yeah, I really like them. I actually have Rangers. They're just kind of they're in a tough spot right now.
Yes, and that's how it felt. So that was the scenario where you would show up on different sides of the board,
Yeah.
right? And even Matt said, it's like everything was working in my favor. You showed up all across the board. Like literally two of my units did not enter the fray until the last turn, two of my
Hmm.
warbands out of the
Hmm.
four, and I still won.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were last edition. They were already a hard army to play. In this edition, they're even worse, especially because they're still fight four, so they're the same fight as like every other regular warrior in the game. So GW just hates
Right.
them. It feels like, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and like their shooting is okay, like they're cool, but it's not amazing. Like shooting in this game in
Yeah,
general
they're a hard
is
army to
not that
play.
great. Right. And like he positioned well, he did well, but just strength and numbers, he just, I think he killed one
Yeah,
troll, but that's about
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a harder game. It was a win. Oh, actually, I didn't add I'm just going to briefly mention I did play Rohan. I'll throw
Nice.
pictures later so you have a chance you can put them in. But I did play Rohan. That was the closest game. I
Oh,
was so surprised because he had 29 models
dang.
and a 500-point list.
Yeah.
He had a Theoden on foot and he had Emir on a horse.
Hmm.
And I was very surprised by the fact that he had almost as many models as me. Like, relatively speaking, that's a lot of models.
Hmm.
And he played very well. Like, he hit Theoden and, like, his foot troops kind of had hid behind a wall.
Yeah.
And, I mean, my army just could not punch through it. I did have a couple lucky rolls killing his horsemen. But in the end, the reason I won was because my army
Hmm.
broke, and we had to end the game. And the final score was 5-4 on
Wow.
the scoring. But if the reality is, if I didn't break and he had a chance to play another turn, I would lose
Dang.
100%, right? Because he was like one turn away from getting to my objectives. It was the supply
Hmm.
lines, I think, where you have three objectives
Yeah.
in the back, three
Destroy the
objectives in the front.
supplies. Yeah.
Yeah, so he has to defend his, I have to defend mine. I have to
Yeah.
destroy his, he has to destroy mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he literally was a turn away from making it like a 6-2 scenario.
Wow.
But unfortunately, I broke, which is great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Sometimes
the
that's what
interesting
you want.
thing that sometimes you want to break earlier in this game to
Hmm.
finish the scenario if you're winning. So almost
Yeah.
like send your guys forward, die a fight you know you will die, and then break.
Yeah.
Very, very fun. So in the end, we really at this point the mega battle was just for fun,
Hmm.
right? Because I was the only person who won 4 games,
Oh wow.
which is really good. So I won the event. Yay.
Nice.
And but we did still want to play Mega Battle. It was still a relatively early day in the day. It was like 4:30 or 5, so we still wanted
Hmm.
to play it. And it was great. It was really awesome. I played on the side of evil because we only had two good players.
Hmm.
No, no, we had two evil players.
Okay.
So we had the dwarves join the side of evil.
Hmm.
They were corrupted dwarves.
Nice.
And we had a very fun battle. Ben and I, because we entered the game so late, we're like, we don't want to play each other anymore. Let's have an alliance not to hurt each other. So the Rohirrim and goblins would just stay on the other side of the table, just never
Nice.
interacted,
Yep.
kind of avoided each other. And yeah, very, very fun. Not Ben, freaking Sam and Frodo were in the middle of the table hiding. You can see the Rivendell trying to protect them, and
Yeah.
then
That's
trolls
a
came
cool
in.
shot.
It's a very cool shot, very thematic battle. Sam at some point fought the troll general, so his troll hero survived it, did a
Awesome.
wound to the troll. It was
Awesome.
great. Eventually, we actually know Frodo died. Elrond
Mm,
got the One Ring, tried to escape off the board with it. It was
yeah,
very thematic, very fun, very cool game.
that is very cool. And then you won.
So in the end, the awards were as follows: the evil side won the grand battle.
Nice.
The Moria Goblins won the whole event. And then I did get the best painted for Sam as well. So
Ah, so
staying
it was
up till
worth it.
5:30 was worth it. Yeah, that's right.
Did you tell them all that you stayed up till
I did. I did. I don't know if there was any pity votes. Like, okay, we need to give it to him. Otherwise, he stayed up for nothing.
Wow.
But yeah, it was a really good time. And honestly, and here is the cool, like the thing I will say. If you do this and stay up to paint a model, paint an army, it's fine, do it, but like don't do it often
Yeah.
because that one night of staying up so ridiculously late, because I haven't gone to bed at like 11, 12, right?
Yeah.
It will mess you up,
Yep.
right?
It
I
does.
am still messed up, even though I got good sleep on Sunday,
Hmm.
but my sleep was messed up last 2 days because of that.
Yeah.
The reality is like, do it once in a while, but this is not healthy for you.
Yeah. But it is
This is
fun.
like the,
It's fun in
it
the
is
moment.
fun. I absolutely encourage it. It's fun for the weekend. It's fun to do. But I would say like, hey, this is fun to do occasionally, but if you're a tournament goer every couple of weeks, every month, be wiser than that.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, you haven't played much Middle Earth, and you brought a pretty like regular list, and you won. That's pretty cool.
It was very fun. The last game was really what decided it all against Rohirrim, and I mean, that was tactically the most fun game of Middle Earth I've played.
Hmm.
I've only
Nice.
played like 8 games now, but still, it was
Still,
very, very
yeah,
fun.
yeah, that's cool. The last time I played Destroy the Supplies, it was what lost me the whole event. So
It's a tough scenario depending on the army.
I played against Ents, so he had like six Ents, and all he had to do was stand three of them on his supplies, and I couldn't do anything about it.
That's hilarious because you can't even touch the objective, right? Because they're big
Nope,
bases.
they're too big, and
Wow,
my
what a
whole
move!
army, I was that was my Chartreuse Wargs army, so the whole army was like Courage 3 or less. So most of the time they were
Right,
failing their courage checks to even charge an Ent in the first place.
that's
So
right.
yeah,
Wow.
I tried. And it was actually I almost got one,
Okay.
because I killed an Ent, and then I needed to win priority and then charge another Ent, and then I would have actually got the supplies. But then I didn't win priority, and it was that. I don't even remember. It was either that or I failed the courage check to charge the Ent. It was something dumb, but at
It,
least it was close at the end of the game.
right,
But those
right. And
scenarios
this
kind of
game is
suck for
very
armies like that.
sure, sure. But yeah, game is very fun. I
Yeah,
mean, it's relatively quick to learn. Like the
yeah.
actual rules are super simple. But then like there's so many rules. Like I've just learned about the set ablaze rule. I'm like, oh, you can turn things on fire. That's crazy.
Hmm.
So very, very fun game. I'm excited. We're gonna try to do this event every year. So
Nice.
I'm excited to maybe bring Fellowship next year and see
Yeah,
how they do.
Fellowship's really fun. It's not that fun to play against, to be fair. Well,
Oh, really?
regular Fellowship's really not that bad to play against. I don't think
Right.
it is. It can be frustrating to play against five models that just outclass your entire army. But I
Right.
really like Fellowship, and if you're not doing like super like now that alliances aren't really a thing anymore, like regular Fellowship is a lot less oppressive than how it used to be, where you could take like Tom Bombadil and Treebeard and all this other junk, and then I think regular Fellowship is a fine army to play with, and I think they're a lot of fun.
And if we do 800 points, you can bring all of them. But
Oh
also,
yeah,
if we do 500 points, like you can bring 4 models.
yeah, yeah.
It's not a lot, right? Awesome, man. And then obviously earlier in the week had a good workout. I had to skip a couple
Nice,
workouts because of the tournament. But other than that, still working on the shoulder-based program. So
nice.
hopefully it's working, but we'll see. Awesome. All right, so how about we talk about our actual topic for the day?
Yes,
Okay, so we're talking about what is the best exercise for each muscle group. I have a feeling we're going to agree on most of them,
probably.
but I also have a feeling that some of them might be slightly different, but not too much.
Hmm.
Okay, let's start with the classic chest.
All right.
Everybody loves chest. I
Yeah.
feel every teenage boy, the
Yep.
first thing they do is a barbell bench press,
Yep.
and then they just spawn at the gym on it.
Yep.
Uh, but in my opinion, the and it depends what you mean best, right? Are you talking about strength? Are you talking about hypertrophy and the most muscle mass? Are you talking about
Hmm.
aesthetics, right? In my opinion, mostly hypertrophy slash aesthetics slash general strength is kind of the way I gauge it. You can tell me how
Hmm.
you gauge yours. But I would say incline, dumbbell, chest press
Respectable.
with good form. Now, to be fair, I sometimes, if I go super heavy or want to get a PR, you don't go all the way down, still counts, but you don't go all the way down to a full stretch,
Hmm.
right? You just go to like here where the dumbbells end,
Yeah.
and then you go up. And I think then it's a fine exercise. But if you get that deep stretch and bring your chest and spread your chest as much as you can, and then go
Yeah.
up, I think it's, in my opinion, the best exercise for chest. It also works on the upper chest, which a lot of people tend to want to have that rounder look.
Hmm.
So it targets the upper chest a bit more than a traditional flat dumbbell press.
Fair. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think the same thing. I personally like regular dumbbell bench press with no incline, but I do both exercises to be fair. But I like regular because you can go heavier on it. That's really the only
Sure.
reason, if I'm being honest. And it's, I don't know, it's fun. It's fun for strength and it's good for hypertrophy, and you can get a good stretch depending on how heavy it is. Like you said, when it gets to a point where it's so heavy that like the dumbbells are touching your chest if you go any lower, so it's like you
Exactly.
can't do any more stretch than that. It's a good push exercise. It's a lot safer than regular bench press, and it yields more or less the same effects, just less compound. Uh, but for your chest, it yields the same effects, and it's lower risk of injury. You don't need a
Yeah,
spotter really. Um,
sure. I see what you mean. It's just like easier to get out of, basically.
yep, and I mean, like, I just think it's a fluid movement, I don't know, dynamic. Maybe that's the right thing, where your arms can actually move. If your muscles are failing, you're
Huge
not gonna.
thing. Yeah,
If you're stuck holding a barbell, that's when injury is a lot more likely to happen because you can't let go really, and
sure.
you can't fall. So yeah,
Have you seen those people? Which is like, if you do it correctly, I think it's a fair movement where they use that barbell with like this shape,
yeah,
where
I
it
have
has
seen that.
a
Yeah,
dip, and you can like go further than the barbell
yeah, it's
allows.
wacky.
Yeah, like I want to try, but also I'm not sure. Like, am I gonna like,
Uh,
am I gonna have it stable enough that it doesn't like whack me on the head or on the
yeah.
stomach?
Also, barbell bench press is really good, and I think it's worth doing if you're a beginner or an intermediate. Um,
Just
It's
fun.
just
It's a good
yeah.
movement.
It's once it gets to the point though where you're lifting really heavy, it's pretty hard on your joints. Whereas
Sure.
dumbbell bench is a lot easier on your joints again, just because you can move.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I still really like barbell bench press, but I do find that my wrists and my shoulders and stuff do, and my elbows start to not feel as good when I am
Sure.
consistently doing it as heavy as I can.
Yeah, I think it's just the setup, right? Because you have to unrack it and it's kind of like over top of your head and you have to bring it here, get in position again. If you don't have the best, if you don't have the bench press setup where you don't have like this tiny little hooks, you have regular sized hooks,
Yeah.
you have to get over the hooks. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Barbell bench press is awesome. I
Hmm.
love it. I think it's a great movement. No hate for barbell bench
Hmm.
press. But if you're looking for the best for hypertrophy slash strength slash look, dumbbell is best, and then you can decide incline or flat.
You can just do both.
You do both, exactly. I don't. I personally struggle to do flat because I've just been doing incline for so long that I'm better at it.
Fair.
Because like I can do slightly more on dumbbell, but not
Uh-huh.
enough to like justify it. I'm like, well, I'm just doing what it's better for hypertrophy and the rounded look.
Yeah.
But reality is like I just don't want to look like I can't do much on flat.
Uh-huh.
All right, so I feel like we should do upper lower for as long as we can.
Sure.
So how about quads? What do you think is the best exercise for quads specifically?
Um, well, I mean, for legs, for pretty much your entire legs, I would just say squats, but that'd be a cop out. So I'll choose a isolation
No, no,
movement.
you can say
Um,
say whatever your heart tells you to say.
well, I think it is squats. I think it is squats. But if we just like go into a little bit more isolation movements, I would probably give it to leg press or quad extension. Um,
Okay,
personally, or even like hack squats. I guess if you really want to do those, I don't really. My gym doesn't really have a proper hack squat machine though. It's like a pendulum thing, and it's okay. But I don't know. I guess leg press is pretty good. If I do heavy squats, then I'm not going to be doing heavy leg press though, but I can still do heavy quad extensions. To be fair,
That's true.
it kind of hurts my knees sometimes after I go too
The
heavy
quad
on
extension.
quad extension. I think it's just because I was
Um,
powerlifting for a few months and now my knees hurt because I've been squatting heavy for like 6 months.
that's very fair.
And I
Joint
also
fatigue.
I like to max out the quad extension machine because it's just fun and maybe that's not the best for leg health. But knee anything with knee flexion is going to be good for your quads at the end of the day. Uh,
Sure.
Quad extensions are
Have you ever
easy
done
and they're safe.
yeah?
Hmm.
Have you ever done reverse Nordics or like sissy squats?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Not enough to really have an opinion on them because it was at some point in the last like 6 years, but yeah,
Sure,
I have
sure.
technically
I
done
think
them
it's just a
before.
good way to like bulletproof, not bulletproof, but work on those joint strength because you can
Yeah,
kind of control and go slow and
yeah,
get support if you need.
yeah. But I mean, overall, if you want big legs, do big squats.
Yeah,
Hamstrings, quads, glutes. The squats is the best exercise for all of them, in my opinion. So I want to give that as a caveat, but I'll give like a different exercise for my favorite like specific muscle group
ergonomic.
thing.
Sure, sure, sure. So yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as you. I would say that if you do have access to a good squat, to a good hack squat machine, they're literally designed for the quads
Hmm.
with the proper foot positioning, and it's still a compound movement. So you're still going to target your glutes. You're still going to involve stability with hamstrings and calves, whatever, right? And hip flexors. But if you do it right, really good movement for your quads. And then yeah, any mover where it's a similar movement where you do elevated heel or even just regular high bar squats, you do leg press, right, with your feet positioned low on the machine. Yeah, like any of those work. I would say if you don't have knee pain and you feel strong in it, a good hack squat machine is gonna kind of be the best for the
Hmm.
quads.
Yep. Or Smith machine squats; those are good too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Because you have more control and you can easier elevate your heel.
yep. And
Yeah,
you can kind of change your
that's a
foot
good one
stance.
actually. I
Those
should
are good
probably
for
do.
hamstrings too, though. So
Oh
either
yeah,
way.
that's true. Yep. All right, moving on to back. And for the sake of time, I didn't go upper back, mid back, lats, low back,
Mm.
but just back, which I have a feeling we might have a different answer actually on
Yeah,
this
I
one.
know we will.
But we're not. I just not going to disagree, but we're looking at it from different perspective. All right, so I am going to say two things: dumbbell rows and pull-ups.
Hmm.
And here's why. Dumbbell rows, especially like single arm, you can get a good deep stretch. And as long as you don't introduce too much body English, really good for the thickness, right? Really good for the mid back. And then even it involves your rear delts, right? To a smaller extent. And then lats for that V shape or pull ups for that V shape. I think even if you can't do pull ups, do assisted pull ups on a machine or bands. I
Hmm.
think it's really good for aesthetics and then dumbbell rows for thickness.
Hmm.
But what are you gonna say, Eli?
Well, what about your lower back, Alex? What about your lower back?
All
What
right, go
about the
ahead.
Christmas tree? We everyone we all know deadlifts is I'm a deadlift's biggest glazer. Uh,
Yeah,
I love deadlifts. I have done them for a long time, and I my back is my best muscle group.
mhm.
I don't know. Deadlifts are just the best in my opinion. And then aside from deadlifts, I'd say barbell rows because you got
Okay,
I still want to get that lower back activation
okay.
going. I want that thick back, the Christmas tree, all that
That
stuff.
that actually makes sense, given your logic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And a deadlift is
yeah,
also just like extremely functional. It'll apply in real life more than probably any exercise. I
for
would
sure.
argue.
Things up. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, let me let me lift this box for you. Just let me get under it in a perfect position.
Yeah.
But
Deadlift
yeah, I
also
don't
works
disagree.
like your entire body basically.
100%.
Works your whole posterior chain, just in your traps, your back in general. It works your hamstrings, your glutes.
Mhm.
Just a good exercise.
I agree. I mean, deadlifts are phenomenal. Just the fact you're probably not going to handle that much weight in a free weight form with any other exercise.
Yeah,
If you do, it's crazy. But
yeah.
reality, your deadlifts, as far as free weight form, should be the heaviest exercise you do. And just by the virtue of holding that weight for so long, even if it doesn't directly like target those muscles, it's still going to add thickness. It's still going to add mass. So
And
I was
curls.
almost tempted to put it there, but I'm like, Eli is going to 100% say it, so I'm going to throw it something else.
um, and if you really don't like deadlifts, then barbell rows, hyperextensions. You could even do
Okay,
rack pulls. But,
sure. Sure.
you know,
Yeah. Reality is do all of it, right?
yeah.
Um, okay, awesome. So how about, I guess for you it will be going naturally, but hamstrings. What would you say for hamstrings?
I mean, squats still. Always squats.
Oh,
But,
really? You put
uh,
squat for hamstring?
yeah, I mean, I guess it
Hmm,
probably depends on how you do squats, but overall, they just work your whole everything,
sure.
basically. But aside from squats, I would say stiff leg deadlifts, I think, are really good. Stiff leg
Yep.
deadlifts, and then second to that, hamstring curls, because
Okay.
you really can't go wrong with hamstring curls, in my opinion. Smith and the squats are good too, but I'm choosing one exercise, so
Sure.
I'll choose stiff legged deadlifts, barbell or dumbbell. I think personally think I find it easier to do dumbbell and actually feel it in my hamstrings. Um, sometimes you eventually need to get out the chalk or straps or something, but
Sure.
I really like the exercise.
Which is nothing wrong with chocolate strap as long as
Mm,
you're using it
nothing wrong at all.
appropriately. I think it's great. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm very similar thinking here. I would say RDLs. It's just this one is down to personal experience. I personally just do more RDLs, Romanian
mm.
deadlifts, versus stiff leg deadlifts. Very similar
They're
movement,
pretty much the
right?
same thing to me because
They're
my legs are not flexible.
Sure, sure. You just have a bit more bend at the knee
Yeah.
for RDLs, slightly less at stiff leg deadlifts, as the name suggests. Pretty much the same thing. With RDLs, you have to be intentional not to target your glutes as much,
Mm.
and then stiff legs don't really allow that. So if your glutes overreach, stiff leg is probably better.
Yeah,
But
in reality, I'm probably doing RDLs more than I am stiff-legged
oh,
deadlifts
really?
because my
Sure,
legs are
sure.
probably not staying that straight.
That's
But
fair. That's fair. But yeah, RDLs slash stiff leg deadlifts slash like good mornings. It basically where you bring your no stretch out your hamstrings, bring your body down as you do so.
hmm
So yeah, it's a really really good movement.
yeah,
Okay, moving on to shoulders. And for this one, we might have the same answer.
hmm
I would say seated dumbbell shoulder press.
yeah, I would also
Is it the
say
same thing you would
that.
say? All right, awesome, awesome. Nothing wrong with doing other movements that allow you the same range of motion. So you can do, I mean, there's some really good seated machine shoulder
hmm
presses. There's some really good, I mean, you can do barbell work, which is
Yep.
perfectly fine. Um, but yeah, we both love seated dumbbell shoulder press for
Yes.
stability, for the range of motion. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think there's anything
it's
more to
fun.
say unless you have anything, Eli.
You can go heavy on it. You can go a lot heavier
Yeah.
than you can standing. It's way easier
Yes.
to set up than standing. It's way more stable than standing. It's just strictly better than standing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do really like standing barbell though, but
Yeah, right, right.
that's way different than standing dumbbell. So,
It's more for stability, I think.
mhm.
It's much easier to be stable with the standing with the barbell.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's very very hard to introduce any body English into seated dumbbell shoulder press because you're just so locked in. You can't use drive too
yeah,
much, right?
yeah,
Where if you do standing dumbbell shoulder press, I noticed that I myself even like gotta jump at the top sometimes
yeah.
to help get
Yeah,
it up.
and you can't even really go that heavy on standing unless you have some way to set it up because you're not going to curl 95 pounds. Unless you're
100%
goaded,
true.
then sorry, you will do that, I guess. But I'm not curling 95 pounds personally. But I
Sure,
can kick
absolutely,
up my 90 pounds and then do it on the seated. Um,
absolutely.
I do really like
Yeah.
standing barbell as well. Again, dumbbell is just going to be easier on your joints and lower risk of injury. But that doesn't mean that barbell's bad. So,
Right. We're not saying any of those other movements are bad. This is the only thing you should be doing for that muscle group. This is actually the opposite of that.
mm,
This is what we personally think is the best movement. But this is 100% something that's kind of semantic, splitting hairs at this point. You
mm,
could not do these movements ever and still have a very good physique.
yeah. I like alternating between seated and then standing barbell every like week or
Yeah,
two, personally.
that's
But
so funny you said that because I think the next program I'm gonna do starting next month, and I'm still focusing on shoulders. My primary heavy mover is gonna be barbell shoulder press.
nice,
Yeah.
very nice.
Very good. All right, moving on to lower body is glutes. What would you say for glutes?
Okay, now definitely squats this time.
Okay,
Surely,
yes.
surely. uh,
Sure.
stop doing hip thrusts in the Smith machine. Go do squats. Go do regular hip thrusts. Um, yeah, it's if you want a big butt, you just gotta do big squats. I feel like it's
Sure.
that easy. And then if you want a second thing, I would say barbell hip thrusts, not Smith machine hip thrusts. Regular
Why the hell
barbell,
are we pushing it for us?
because my gym only has one Smith machine, and everyone uses it to do hip thrusts when they could be doing this exercise with a regular
Sure,
barbell on like the
sure,
five other squat racks. You don't need the
sure,
Smith
sure.
machine to do it. It's just like a hive mind thing that they're all doing the same thing. So it's just really annoying.
100%.
Yeah.
So one thing I will say is if you're not in a situation where Eli finds himself and your Smith machine is not all being only used for hip thrusts, it is a perfectly fine movement to do hip thrusts, right? The mechanics are the same.
Yeah.
You arguably have a slightly better stability. You don't have to worry about finding the exact middle, right? Usually they have those little pads on them already, so you don't have to like smash your
Pelvis.
hips. Yeah, pelvis. But yes, if there's only one Smith machine and everybody's using it already for it and somebody's waiting for it and it takes forever to do the hip thrust and it's a big movement so you can take long breaks, yeah, don't take it. But don't be afraid if you have a couple Smith machines. Maybe
Yeah.
you're at Planet Fitness, right? And it's only Smith machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly fine movements.
Yeah.
I would say hip thrust as well. If we're focusing on glutes, I think too many people, especially girls, tend to do too much hip thrusts and
Yeah.
not enough things like squats. But if we're talking about glutes specifically, proper hip thrust is probably the best.
Yeah. But if you want your sorry, if you want to look good, if you want your butt to be big and your legs to be big so you have good proportions, you should just do squats and stop wasting your energy on hip thrusts. Just do the
Yeah.
squats instead.
Yeah, if you have good proportions. But if you're wanting a big butt, you're like, I want to work on my butt. Or maybe you don't really feel your butt in squats, right? You
Mm-hmm.
just have trouble connecting with it. Maybe you do feel your quads take over. Yes, but I agree. I very rarely do hip thrusts because I don't need to worry about my
Hip
butt getting
thrusts
being at this point.
hip thrust is more of a powerlifting accessory
Oh yeah,
exercise than a bodybuilding
yeah.
exercise really. Like
Or Instagram girl, wanna have a
yeah,
peach butt.
yeah. But like I don't think like your average bodybuilder who's
No,
trying to get big glutes, I don't think they really spend energy doing hip thrusts
no,
personally.
no. I
So
agree. I agree. And we're talking about the best for each body part. So like if you really want to focus on it, it's
yeah,
a weak point
yeah.
for you. Another thing for glutes is like proper Bulgarian split squat.
Mm,
Boy, that target like
true.
my glutes are on fire when you do them properly,
Mm-hmm.
like without using your back too much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's really good. Okay, moving on to upper body, and we're moving into more smaller muscles now. So biceps, and I think we're gonna have the most variation on this one because there's just all this next few ones because there's so many options.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best biceps exercise, uh, and you could be totally different on this one, is Bayesian cable curl, whether single arm or double arm, where basically you bring your arm behind, right? You grab a cable and you have a full stretch, and even at the bottom position, you never fully lock out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you never disengage your bicep from doing it, from feeling tension. You can do anything else, you're
Yeah.
fine, right? But it just, for me personally, I feel it the most. It's under constant tension the whole movement. It's not the only bicep exercise I do, but I do variations with two cables at the same time. You can do a single cable at once. Yeah, it's just movement that I really like,
Mm-hmm.
but there's other ones.
Yeah.
Well, in your opinion, what's the best?
I think easy bar bicep curls are
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
best in my opinion. Uh, you don't get as good of a stretch, admittedly, but you can go heavy, and I just like heavy exercises. So you can
Yeah.
make your biceps stronger that way. And then I don't know, do some hammer, dumbbell hammer curls as well are really good. But yeah, easy bar curls are my favorite. But like Alex said, you could do pretty much any bicep exercise, and it's gonna
Are
be
you
pretty
doing
good.
this? Great. Like, are
Yeah,
you bringing your fist to your
yeah,
shoulder? You're fine.
yeah.
Yeah. Good, good. I really like hammer curls for the brachialis, the small muscle underneath, right?
Mm,
The bicep for a volume. So I personally do hammer preacher curls. I
mm,
know you're a bit of warrior on preacher
mm.
curls, but wary on preacher curls. But if you are not afraid and you don't really feel the pain in your joints when you do a full stretch, Preacher curls are also a good
Mm,
variation.
yep.
Okay, calves. What do you think is the best movement for calves?
Well, technically, and I'm pretty sure it's scientifically proven. As much as a science guy, I'm not a big science guy, but it has its place. Standing calves
Sure.
are proven to be the exercise that work your calves more than any other calf exercise. Which the only other variation really is seated calves. You're either your legs are either fully extended or not fully extended. Um, so I would see standing is the best. I really like seated just because it's cozy and you can go pretty heavy, but you can go heavy on standing as well. So standing is just harder to set up if you don't have the right means to do it. My old
Sure.
gym had an awesome machine, but the gym I go to right now doesn't. So I have to use the like pendulum squat machine to do
Oh,
the
I
calves
love
on it.
that.
Yeah, so
I love
it
that.
works. So yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Standing is the best. But at the same time, like if you did a leg day, usually you're doing calves last, right? You're
yeah,
tired, you're fatigued, you may be thinking about skipping calves. Oh, there's this nice seated calf machine. I can sit down while doing calves. There may be
yeah,
benefit to it, right? However, the best for calves, standing, and then variation, just pick whatever works for you.
yeah.
Like Eli said, pendulum, you could do leg press, you could do Smith machine, you could do the machine if you have a machine for that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, standing is the best, seated is fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving on to triceps.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many different ones,
Yeah.
and honestly, I don't really have a rhyme or reason for this one. In my personal belief, proper rope tricep pushdowns,
Yeah.
where the rope is long enough to allow you the full extension. You can even do a single arm, is probably one of the best. You get a good stretch at the top, right? Uh, you can load it relatively heavy once you get strong. You can do single arm, you can do double arm. That's yeah, and there's plenty of other movements, but that's
Yeah.
the one that I like the most that I think is very valuable.
Yeah. No,
What do
I
you think?
agree. I think rope
Okay,
is probably the best. You can do a decent weight on it. It has a good stretch. It's not overly hard to get the form down. But at the end of the day, if your arm is extending, you're working your triceps. My actual favorite exercise though is the V bar tricep push down. So it's just a bar
sure.
that's shaped like this, and then you
Right, you can go
because
heavier,
you can max out
right?
the machine on it, and yeah, it's.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I think people should also try like close grip bench press and floor press and stuff like
Yes,
that. So
dips.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's all
proper dips.
worthwhile doing, and just makes your triceps strong, and also an overhead stretch movement
Yep,
should be part of your triceps. So
yep. I
yeah,
mean, skull crushers, right? We can't not mention those.
yeah,
Very Warhammer
yeah.
name. But yeah, there's so many different options.
Mhm.
I just like the rope because you get the full stretch, right? Unlike the flat, the straight bar or the V bar. But yeah, it's fine, like Eli said. Okay, well we have a couple smaller muscles to go through,
Mhm.
and then we'll be pretty much done.
Mhm.
So how about traps? What would you say is the best movement for traps? Is it this one? Is it where you do this?
No, no, it is not. It is not that one. um, I began to say deadlifts. Might be a little
Oh, really?
controversial or cringe, but I'm saying
Okay.
deadlifts.
That's
if you
expected.
if you
What's your reasoning?
if you deadlift heavy, you're gonna get big traps. It works your traps pretty well, and
You're thinking the
uh,
whole posterior chain is going to get. I mean, you're right,
yeah,
but you're okay. That's
yeah.
not a
And I
bad
mean,
reason.
along with that, just do shrugs. But like, it's pretty hard to argue that shrugs aren't the best exercise to work your traps because they literally only work your traps pretty much.
The only thing you're getting,
Uh,
yeah. Unless you're
but
curling them someone doing
yeah,
this.
but deadlifts are really good as well because like people got to remember that it depends on who you are. It's different for everyone, but your traps can go like almost all the way down your back depending on genetics. Um, and oftentimes shrugs really you're only kind of feeling it at the top of your traps for shrugs. Yeah,
Yeah,
shrugs and deadlifts are both very good exercises, and most back exercises are going to kind of work your traps
sure,
at
sure.
the
In
end of the
a
day.
more of isometric manner.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, not a bad idea. Yeah, any back, any posterior exercise you do, for the most part, will engage your traps not in an active stretching and contracting position,
mm-hmm.
but more in isometric. However, yeah, I agree. Shrugs is the best. I don't disagree with the deadlifts,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say if you are trying to specifically work on traps, your trapezoids, shrugs is the best. I prefer dumbbell shrugs, but any shrug is fine.
Yeah.
Barbell, Smith machine, cable shrugs, you're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Cool. How about rear delts? Do you do anything for rear delts?
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of options, to be fair.
Mhm. Well,
um,
there's a few. What do you prefer?
uh, I did rear delt swings for a while, and I like rear delt flies. I like it on the machine, like the chest press or chest fly machine. I like doing it on that.
The
Um,
swings, you mean where you bent over with dumbbells?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah. I mean,
What's your
I'd
preferred?
say
What's your
I'd
preferred
say
rear
the
delt movement?
chest. I'd say the chest fly machine. For rear delts is
The
my
reverse back deck.
preferred. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I do it pretty often. Have you ever, if you have the proper machine, have you ever tried to do it one at a time and like kind of turn this way, get a better stretch?
I think I've tried it before. I don't remember if I liked it that much, but
I've had people
possibly.
try it, just hate it. I'm like, okay, don't
I
do
don't
it
know.
if you don't feel comfortable doing it.
You could also do cables as well. I've done those too. So,
That's my preferred option because you can kind of control where you position yourself, where you feel the most stretch at the top of the
mhm.
movement,
Yeah.
and you just have the consistent tension the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no wrong answer here. A lot of different
Mm-hmm.
movements. But I prefer cable. Sounds like Eli prefers reverse back deck. Both are great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last one I have, unless you want to bring anything else, is forearms.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting one. I feel like a lot of people, me included, don't really train forearms directly.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What I think is the best one, or do I think you
Yes.
need to train forearms? Okay. um,
What is the
uh,
best one?
gonna is unfortunate. Sorry. Deadlifts again. I
Freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. I
think.
was waiting for it.
I think
You're
farmers
not wrong.
carries are really good too, and I
Hmm.
think most curling exercises are also pretty good, especially hammer
Sure.
curls.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah,
Yeah, you can do
deadlifts
overhand curls.
deadlifts is literally pulling as much weight as you can, holding onto it with your arms, using your forearms to
Sure.
grip the weight. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I would say if you are trying to specifically bring up your forearms, like curls and easy bar curls and specific forearm movements can be helpful.
hmm
But yeah, generally, just hold on to something heavy.
yeah,
Are you holding on to something
yeah,
heavy for a movement? The heavier, the better. So that's why farmers carries are good, really good for your stability, for your central nervous system. Same as deadlifts, right? With deadlifts, at some point, if you do need to use straps and chalk, chalk is fine, but especially
hmm
straps or like Versa grips, then it kind of takes away the forearms out of
yeah,
it. Yeah, I prefer farmer's carries because it's just such a functional movement, right?
hmm
Once again, similar to deadlifts, where you just like you carry heavy stuff and you walk with it.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, deadlifts are a very fine answer as well.
hmm
Did I miss any? Is there any muscles that I haven't talked about, or we
uh,
haven't talked about?
I mean, not really. We didn't, like you said, you didn't split up the back, but in
Oh,
your
I didn't say
regular,
ab. I didn't
oh,
say abs.
abs. Oh yeah, I don't do abs, but I
I
mean,
don't do abs either.
I
If you had to, based on your intuition, say the best ab movement, what would you say?
um, healthy diet.
I love that. Let's say you are trying to bring up the volume on abs. What would you do?
Um, I really like the decline ab machine thing where you
Okay.
put your legs in the
Yeah.
pads and then you do sit ups and stuff and you can hold things while you do that. Um,
Yeah.
I like that one, and I like hanging leg raises and
Ooh,
also
yeah.
rope curls. It's like you hold the rope in front of you and then you crunch down. Rope crunches, I
Yes.
guess it is. Those are all pretty good. I I did those during the John Meadows programs days when I did those. Because
Sure.
he has abs at the end of them. At the end of the day, I don't think doing abs is overly important if you're already doing heavy exercises, but it's not bad to
Agree.
do. But again, like it really depends. Like my bodybuilding coach told me not to do abs in the off season because it will actually make your waist bigger. So your abs
Yes.
might look better, but you'll actually be wider, and you'll have worse proportions um, for doing it. And if you do abs all the time, it's not gonna make them look that much different than if you didn't do abs all the time. It's really just about how much muscle mass you have in
Yeah.
general and how lean you are. So Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember that abs are a muscle group like any other, right? So
Hmm.
if you train it, it gets bigger. If you're fat, you're not going to see much,
Yeah.
right? It's just going to make your torso bigger, not by much, because you can't build that much muscle fast anyway.
Yeah.
But that's what I think a lot of CrossFitters, when you look at them and their physiques, they're much more stocky,
Yeah.
right? Because they have a lot of abs, which is not a bad look, by the way. They look
Hmm.
great, like the
Yeah,
top
I
level.
think it still looks cool.
I think it looks great, right? It's
Yeah.
just not good for bodybuilding, which is if you don't do that, like I don't do that. I would
Yeah.
love to look like that, right? But they do look much stockier because they do have so many core movements, and
Yeah.
they kind of have more like a less V and more like flat
Yeah.
physique. Still looking great, but not a bodybuilding physique.
Mm.
Yeah, and I do like really the cable rope crunches
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's it. Did
Yeah.
we forget anything?
I mean, not really. We already you already pretty much covered lats with pull-ups or whatever, and um, chin-ups. I guess you said. I don't remember. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Like at the end of the day, your average back workout is gonna look pretty similar to everyone else's. So you're gonna be hitting as long as you're hitting all the muscles in your back, you're pretty good. So
Right. So if you want to have a good workout, a good program, make sure that you're doing a lot of the movements we discussed. A great
mhm.
place to find them is our 8-week Nerds Complete Guide to Nutrition and
Yes,
Fitness.
sir.
We have 4 programs on it, I believe,
Hmm.
and all of them include this primary compound movers.
Except for the bodyweight
So
one.
except for the bodyweight one, right? Well, we have pull-ups on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
If you're ready to start your health and fitness journey, go to grimdarkgains.com for that program. You can find Eli at Deadlifts for the Dark Gods and myself at fit_hammer on Instagram and YouTube. You can find a link to Grimdark Gains Discord on our Instagram at Grimdark Gains or our personal Instagram accounts. Thank you, and until next time, stay Warhammer strong.
Farewell. Love you. Bye bye.